Hello everyone and welcome to another Python tutorial class. In this class we'll be looking at the code. You can see the codes for CGPA calculations. So I would show us how the codes work. If I run it, okay. So I have enter your score in maths. So if I enter a score, say 58, then I go on to enter your score in English. I have say 68, okay, let's say 63, and then enter your score in biology, and I put 40, then enter your score in Catherine. Okay, I go on to put 98. So you can see I have displayed here 33, okay, rather 3.3, which is the CGPA after I must have calculated these scores that I put there. So I'll go over the lines of code I have here and we'll see just how the program works. Okay, from line 1 to line 13, you can see it's just a function. So the function never gets called until I call the function. So 1 to 13 is just a function, and the function name is subject grade, which takes one parameter, course grade. Then you can see on line 2 where I said if the course grade is between 70 and 100, it should return 5. Then if the course grade is between 60 and 69, then it should go on to return 4. Then if course grade is between 50 and 59, it will go on to return 3. Then next one, if the course grade is between 45 and 49, it should go on to return 2. Also, if course grade is between 35 and 44, it should return 1. And if course grade is between 0 and 34, it should return 0. Before we would understand how the CGPA works, there's a line of code I made here. I want us to go over this text file. Now the CGPA is very simple. How it works is very simple. You can see I have my courses, maths, English, biology, and Catherine, which are actually the 4 courses that you can see displayed here on the console. Then each course should have its particular credit load, and you can see for maths I gave it a credit load of 3, for English I have 3, for biology I have 2, then for Catherine I have 1. Then for the scores, you can see that A, if someone gets A, the person has a grade of 5, and getting A, your score in the examination has to be between 70 and 100, as you can see. Then B has a grade of 4, then you have to get between 69 and 60 and 69, which is actually what you can see. You can see here I have the same thing. When the course grade is B, when the course grade is between 60 and 69, it should return 4. That is just what happens here. When the course grade is between 60 and 69, it means that the person had a B, so it should go on to return 4. So here you can also see that when the course grade is between 50 and 59, it should return 3. Then you can see here too that when the course grade is between 50 and 59, the person gets a 3, and the 3, which is actually a C. So that's basically how the grading system works. But then for your calculation, what simply happens is, for maths, which is a 3 credit unit, you will have 5 multiplied by, if the person gets an A, let's say John had A in maths. Okay, John had A in maths. John's total, the way it will calculate John's credit load now is it will go on to, okay, John had A in maths and his grade was 76. So for John to have 76, it means that John got an A in maths, right? So what will simply happen is that 5, which is the course grade, will now multiply 3. So here I'll have 5 multiplied by 3, which will give me 15. Okay, then for the next one, if John had, say, for English, say John had 57. Okay, so 57 now is between 50 and 59, which means 3 will get multiplied by the 3, which is the credit load for English. So here I'm going to have 3 multiplied by 3, and I will have 9. So just like that, I can still put any random, say I have biology. Let's assume John had 78. Okay, so now 78 is between 70 and 100, so that is 5, right? So I have 5 multiplied by the credit load for biology, which is 2, and I'm going to have 10. Okay, so for the last one, Catherine, so we assume John is not very good at Catherine, he will get a 45. So for this, I'm going to have 45 is between 45 and 49, right? So I have 2 multiplied by the credit load for Catherine, which is 2. So I'm going to get 4, right? Now the next thing is to sum these scores one after the other. So I'm going to have 15 plus 10 is 25. Then 25 plus 4 is 29. Then 29 plus 9. So the total for John is going to be 29 plus 9, which is 38. Okay, that is his total credit. So the next thing that will happen is that John is going to have 38 for his total cost, right? Then on the other hand, I'm going to add all the credit load together. So I have the credit load, I'll add all the credit load together, which is 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2, which is 10, right? So I'm going to have total load, and it will be given as 10. So the next thing will be to divide the total by 10. That is 38 divided by 10, right? And I will have 3.8. So this is exactly what this will calculate for a student like John. So let's see what happens when I run this same code. Okay, so it said enter for math. Say we agreed that John had 76, then for English 57, for biology 78, for Catherine 45. Now you can see that it has calculated the CGPA for John, and it is 3.8, which is actually what we have here as 3.8. So right now we are going to go over the code and see how it works. So our actual coding starts from line 16, and you can see on line 16 I have all the courses. I actually made it a dictionary of all the courses, which is maths, English, biology, and catering, and each of those dictionary have the values of those keys are the values of the keys are the actual credit load. As you can see, this is math with 3, so math with 3 and those. So the total credit load which we got here as 10, I calculated it using the sum function, then a list. Then you can see I used a list comprehension. I said load for load in all courses dot values. So this will actually add 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. This is an item function, right? All courses, since all courses is a dictionary, there is this method under dictionary called values. So the method will just return a list of the values that you have in that dictionary, and you can see the list of values are simply 3, 3, 2 and 2. Then I use the sum function on that list, meaning that it is going to add the elements of that list. So actually what will happen here is that I'm going to have 10. I should have 10. Okay, I should have 10. So for here I have 10. This will return 10. Then for the next line of code, I said that I set the database to a list, and you can see here that the list is empty. It's actually empty. We are going to use it to sum all our results together. You see where it works. Okay, we go on to line 19, and you can see here that I actually made a for loop, which will loop through the variable name all courses. And if you can remember, when you are looping through a dictionary, the elements that you are going to be looping through are the keys of those dictionary. So I'm looping through maths, English, biology and catering. The values are not part of the loop. So here you will have a loop. Yeah, I'm looping through the variable all courses. So I'm going to have grade input, a new variable name, and it takes a function input, and then it actually tells the user to enter your score in course. Now this course and this course are the same, and you can see I used the Python string formatter. So this course will just simply get printed here. So that is why when I run this, you will see enter your score in maths. So since we are looping through this variable name, this will just loop through the keys of the variable name all courses. So you have enter your score in maths, enter your score in English, enter your score in biology, enter your score in catering. Now the next one is just a check to make sure that the user enters and enters a number. So what this will do is, if the user enters a string, for instance, it will be able to detect it and tell the user that he actually made a wrong input. Let's see how it works. So for this, if the user enters, say, Q, okay, you can see here I have wrong input. Your input must be a number, meaning that, and you can see that the code broke, meaning that once it detects that the input from the user is not a number, it will print this information and then break the code. So that's what this try except else block does. It's actually very easy, and we'll discuss more about it in our next tutorial video. So here, just see this as something that just checks. Then the next thing that happens is that if int, then I use the int function on the grade input. Remember that any input the user puts is always a string. We've already talked about that. So this function will just make that string an integer, because it has checked here that the user has entered correctly. So the next thing it will do is to convert that string to an integer. Now I said if input is greater than 100, then it should print out wrong input, that your range must be between 0 and 100. And now, as you know, someone cannot write an exam and have a score that is above 100. So this will also check that the user does not enter anything that is above 100. So when it checks that, it will confirm it before it moves on to the next line of code. Now if this if block works, it will break the code. But if it gets executed, that's the user actually entered correctly, it will go on to append. Now the append function simply adds to our database. Remember, our database is a list, so it will just append all course. Remember, this is a dictionary, right? And we are looping, so this all course will just take, for each instance of the dictionary you have maths, so it will just simply take the key of that very it will take the value of that very key we are talking about, then multiply it with the function that we made up here. This is subject grade. Okay, remember, the subject grade is a function that will take input. Then when it takes the input, it will return either 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, depending on what the user put. So if the user puts a number as a parameter here, it will now return either 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that is what will happen here. The returned number will be multiplied by the key, the instance of the key. Then at the end of the once the for loop gets executed, it moves on to add. That is where I use the sum function. You can see I have value for numerator. Now this variable name is actually this. Okay, let's see. The variable name is actually this 38 we have above. You can see the 38 we have above. So you can see value for numerator is equal to sum list value for value in database. So this is also a list comprehension, right? This is a list comprehension, and it's going to go through the database that we've made. Then it will add the elements of those database and then set it to the variable name value for the numerator. So what here is going to return for the example we made is 38. So this is going to return 38. And the next thing, if value from numerator, print this. Now what this actually does also is to check that the value for numerator is actually not 0. It checks that it is not 0. So once it has seen that it is not 0, or once it has seen that it is true, it will go on to print this value for numerator over total credit load. So simply what happens here is we have 38 over 10, which is the same as the example we made. So I have 38 over 10, and that is 38 over 10, and that is what gave us this 3.8 as we saw in the program. So this is actually a string format which you can watch our other tutorial videos on and see how this particular string format works. So if I repeat it, if I repeat this same thing, let's use the same example which we've used for John. So John in maths, he had 76, right? So John had 76 in maths. He had 57 in English, 78 in biology, and 45 in catering. Now you can see I have 3.8 printed on the screen, which is actually 38 divided by 100 as we've explained here. Okay, thank you for watching. In our next tutorial, we will try to use the Python KiwiMD to build an actual app that would and we'll reference this example in the app, so that we'll use an app to make this same, we'll use an app to replicate this same program. Thank you so much.